Video we will learn 1. What is typecasting in C++? 2. Types of typecasting. 3. Special types of operators in C++. Scope resolution operator, memory management operator, new and delete operator. What is typecasting? Definition: typecasting in C++ is the process of converting one data type into another. It helps us to use variables in different forms as needed. Example: changing an int to a float or a char to an int. Types of typecasting. 1. Implicit typecasting, type conversion. 2. Explicit typecasting, typecasting by user. Implicit typecasting, type conversion, also called type promotion, done automatically by the compiler. Smaller data type right pointing arrow, bigger data type. Example: int main, int a equals 5, double b equals a, count less than a equals, less than a endl, count less than b equals, less than b, less than b, less than endl, return 0. Line by line explanation. 1. Hashtag include less than iostream greater than. This includes the input-output library, which gives us access to functions like count and sin. 2. Using namespace std. This is a shortcut that lets us use standard library components like count directly, without having to write std before them. 3. Int main. This is the main entry point of the program. Execution always begins here. 4. Int a equals 5. An integer variable named a is created and assigned the value 5. 5. Double b equals a. This is where implicit typecasting happens. The compiler automatically converts the int value of a5 to a double 5.0 and stores it in b. The programmer doesn't need to do anything. 6. Count less than a equals, less than a, less than endl. This line prints the integer value of a. Endl moves the cursor to a new line. 7. Count less than b equals, less than b, less than endl. This prints the double value of b, which will likely be displayed with a decimal point, e.g. 5.0, showing that the type conversion was successful. 8. Return 0. This tells the operating system that the program finished successfully. 9. This marks the end of the main function. Output: value of a, 5. Value of b, 5. Explicit typecasting, typecasting by user. Done manually using casting operators. Syntax: new underscore type variable, or new underscore type variable. Example: int main, double x equals 9.78, int y1 equals int x, by C style, int y2 equals int x, by function style, count less than x, less than x, less than endl, count less than y1 equals, less than y1, less than y1, less than endl, count less than y2 equals, less than y2, less than y2, less than endl, return 0. Line by line explanation. 1. Hashtag include less than iostream greater than includes the input-output library. 2. Using namespace std allows direct use of standard library names. 3. Int main, the entry point of the program. 4. Double x equals 9.78. A double variable x is initialized with the value 9.78. 5. Int y1 equals int x. This is a C-style explicit cast. The value of x is manually converted to an int. The decimal part, 0.78, is truncated, and y1 becomes 9. This can lead to data loss. 6. Int y2 equals int x. This is a function-style explicit cast, which achieves the same result as the C-style cast. The value of x is converted to an int, and y2 also becomes 9. 7. Count less than x equals, less than x, less than endl. This prints the original value of x, which is 9.78. 8. Count less than y1 equals, less than y1, less than endl. This prints the value of y1, which is 9. 9. Count less than y2 equals, less than y2, less than endl. This prints the value of y2, which is also 9. 10. Return 0. Indicates successful program execution. 11. Ends the main function. Output: original value 9.7. After casting 9. Static underscore cast, modern C++ explicit cast, safer. Int main, double d equals 9.78, int I equals static underscore cast d, count less than d equals less than d, less than endl, count less than I equals less than I, less than I, less than ENDL, return 0. Line by line explanation. 1. Hashtag include less than IOStream greater than includes the input-output library. 2. Using namespace std allows standard library names to be used directly. 3. Int main, the entry point of the program. 4. Double D equals 9.78. A double variable D is initialized with the value 9.78. 5. Int I equals static underscore cast less than int greater than D. This is a modern C++ explicit cast using static underscore cast. It performs the same conversion as the C-style cast, truncating the decimal part. The result, 9, is stored in the int variable I dot. Static underscore cast is generally preferred because it makes the intention to cast more explicit and is checked more strictly by the compiler. 6. Count less than D equals less than D, less than ENDL. This prints the original value of D, which is 9.78. 7. Count less than I equals less than I, less than ENDL. This prints the converted value of I, which is 9. 8. Return 0, indicates successful program execution. 9. Ends the main function. Tip: static underscore cast is the preferred way to perform explicit typecasting in modern C++ because it is safer and makes your code more readable. Implicit promotion in expression, int plus double right pointing arrow, double result. Int main, int x equals 5, double y equals 2.5, double r equals x plus y, count less than r equals less than r, less than ENDL, return 0. Line by line explanation. 1. Hashtag include less than IOStream greater than includes the input-output library. 2. Using namespace std allows direct use of standard library names. 3. Int main, the entry point of the program. 4. Int x equals 5. An integer variable x is initialized with the value 5. 5. Double y equals 2.5. A double variable y is initialized with the value 2.5. 6. Double r equals x plus y. This is an example of implicit type promotion in an expression. Before the addition operation, the compiler automatically promotes the int variable x to a double, 5 becomes 5.0, to match the data type of y. The addition 5.0 plus 2.5 is performed, resulting in 7.5, which is then stored in the double variable r. 7. Count less than r equals less than r, less than ENDL. This prints the final result 7.5. 8. Return 0. Indicates successful program execution. 9. Ends the main function. Special types of operators. Scope resolution operator. Use. To access a global variable when a local variable has the same name. To define functions outside a class. Scope resolution operator. Example A. Global vs local. Int x equals 10, bot pineapple by global. Int main, int x equals 20, while local shadows global. Count less than local x, less than x, less than ENDL. Count less than global x, less than x, less than ENDL, return 0. Line by line explanation. 1. Hashtag include less than IOStream greater than. This includes the input-output stream library, allowing us to use functions like count and ENDL. 2. Using namespace std. This statement allows us to use standard library components directly without the std prefix. 3. Int x equals 10. Here, a global variable x is declared and initialized with the value 10. It is accessible from anywhere in the program. 4. Int main, the main function where the program execution begins. 5. Int x equals 20. Inside the main function, a local variable x is declared and initialized with the value 20. This local x has the same name as the global one, so it shadows or hides the global x within this function scope. 6. Count less than local x, less than x, less than ENDL. This line uses the local x which is in the current scope. It will print the value 20. 7. Count less than global x, less than x, less than ENDL. This is where the scope resolution operator, smiley face, is used. By placing ACUs before x, we are explicitly telling the compiler to look for x in the global scope. This line will print the value of the global x, which is 10. 8. Return 0. The program returns 0 to the operating system, indicating successful execution. 9. The end of the main function. Output. Local x 20. Global x 10. Tip. The scope resolution operator allows us to access a global variable even when a local variable has the same name, or to access a name from a specific namespace. Scope resolution operator, example B, accessing static class member. Class counter public, static int count, by declaration only, counter, plus plus count, by increment on object creation, closing curly bracket, semicolon. Int counter, count equals 0, definition and initialization outside class. Int main, counter A, creates object A to calls constructor. Counter B, creates object B to calls constructor count less than count, less than counter, count less than ENDL, access static member return 0. Line by line explanation. 1. Hashtag include less than IOStream greater than and using namespace std. These lines are for including the input-output library and simplifying the use of its components as explained previously. 2. Class counter. This line begins the definition of a new class named counter. 3. Public. This keyword specifies that the members that follow are accessible from outside the class. 4. Static int count. This is the declaration of a static member variable named count. A static variable belongs to the class itself, not to any individual object. This means all counter objects share the same single count variable. At this point, no memory is allocated for it. 5. Counter, plus plus count. This is the class constructor. It's a special function that is automatically called whenever a new counter object is created. Inside the constructor, we increment the shared count variable. 6. This marks the end of the class definition. 7. Int counter, count equals 0. This is the definition and initialization of the static member variable. We use the scope resolution operator, smiley face, to tell the compiler that we are defining the count variable that belongs to the counter class. This line allocates memory for count and initializes it to 0. This step is mandatory for static members. 8. Int main, the program's entry point. 9. Counter A. A new object A of class counter is created. This calls the constructor, and count is incremented from 0 to 1. 10. Counter B. Another new object B is created. The constructor is called again, and count is incremented from 1 to 2. 11. Count less than count, less than counter, count less than ENDL. Here we use the scope resolution operator, smiley face, to access the static member count directly through its class name, counter. Since the constructor was called twice, the value of count is 2. 12. Return 0. The program returns 0, indicating successful completion. 13. End of the main function. Output. Count. 2. Tip. Static members are shared by all objects. Use class name member, the scope resolution operator, to access them. Memory access operators, address of and dereference asterisk pointers. Int main, int num equals 42. Int ptr equals hashtag count less than address of num, less than and num less than ENDL. Count less than value stored in ptr, less than ptr, less than ENDL. Count less than value at ptr, less than ptr, less than ptr, less than ENDL. Ptr equals 100. Count less than num after ptr equals 100, less than num, less than ENDL. 10. Return 0. Line by line explanation. 1. Hashtag include less than IOStream greater than and using namespace std. These lines are for including the input-output library and simplifying its use, as explained before. 2. Int main, the entry point of the program. 3. Int num equals 42. An integer variable num is declared on the stack and initialized with the value 42. 4. Int main, ptr equals and num. This line does two things. And num is the address of operator, which returns the memory address of the variable num. Int in ptr declares a pointer variable ptr that can hold the address of an integer. The address of num is assigned to ptr. 5. Count less than, address of num, less than, and num less than ENDL. This line prints the memory address where the variable num is stored. The output will be a hexadecimal value, which will be different each time the program runs. 6. Count less than value stored in ptr. Less than ptr, less than ENDL. This line prints the value stored inside the pointer ptr, which is the memory address of num. The output will be the same as the previous line. 7. Count less than value at ptr. Less than ptr, less than ENDL. This line uses the dereference operator asterisk. It dereferences the pointer ptr to access the value at the memory address it holds. This prints the value stored at that address, which is 42. 8. ptr equals 100. Here we use the dereference operator to modify the value at the memory location pointed to by ptr. This changes the value of num from 42 to 100. 9. Count less than num after asterisk ptr equals 100. Less than num, less than ENDL. This line prints the new value of num, which is now 100, demonstrating that changing the value through the pointer also changes the original variable. 10 return 0, indicates successful program execution. 11. End of the main function. Possible output, addresses vary. Address of num, hexadecimal 7 FFD9, C1B0, ABC. Value stored in PTR, hexadecimal 7 FFD9 C1B0, ABC. Value at asterisk PTR, 42. Num after asterisk, PTR equals 100 is to 100. New and delete dynamic memory heap. Example 1, single int. Int main, int p equals new int, p equals 25, count less than value via p, less than p, less than endl, delete p, p equals null ptr, return 0. Line by line explanation. 1. Hashtag include less than iostream greater than and using namespace std, standard setup for input-output operations. 2. Int main, the entry point of the program. 3. Int into p equals new int. This is where dynamic memory allocation happens. The new operator allocates a block of memory on the heap large enough to store a single int. It then returns the memory address of this newly allocated block, which is stored in the integer pointer p. 4. P equals 25. The dereference operator is used to access the memory location pointed to by p. The value 25 is written to this location on the heap. 5. Count less than value via p, less than into p, less than endl. This line prints the value stored at the memory address pointed to by p, which is 25. 6. Delete p. This is the deallocation operator. It is crucial for freeing the memory that was previously allocated with new. After this line, the memory block is released back to the system. It is a critical step to prevent memory leaks. 7. P equals null ptr. This is a best practice. After the memory has been freed with delete, the pointer p is left dangling. It still holds the address of the now freed memory. Setting it to null ptr explicitly marks it as not pointing to anything, which helps prevent accidental use of the freed memory. 8 return 0, indicates successful program execution. 9. End of the main function. Output. Value via p25. New and delete dynamic array. Int main, int n equals 3, int into arr equals new int. For int I equals 0, I less than n, plus I, r equals I plus 1, 10. For int I equals 0, I less than n, plus I, count less than r, less than, count less than endl. Delete, r equals null ptr, return 0. Line by line explanation. 1. Hashtag include less than iostream greater than and using namespace std, standard setup. 2. Int main, the entry point of the program. 3. Int n equals 3. An integer variable n is initialized to 3. This value will determine the size of our dynamic array. 4. Int arr equals new int. This is how a dynamic array is allocated on the heap. New int allocates a contiguous block of memory for n, which is 3, integers. The address of the first element of this block is returned and stored in the pointer r. 5. For int I equals 0, I less than n, plus I, a for loop to iterate through the n elements of the array. 6. R equals I plus 1 into 10. Inside the loop, values are assigned to each element of the array. For the first element, I equals 0, R0 becomes 0 plus 1 into 1, O equals 10. For the second, RE becomes 1 plus 1, 1 O equals 20, and so on. 7. For int I equals 0, I less than n, plus I, a second for loop to print the values of the array elements. 8. Count less than r, less than, this prints the value of each element followed by a space. 9. Count less than endl, prints a new line character after the loop finishes. 10. Delete r, this is the correct way to deallocate a dynamic array. There is crucial here. It tells the compiler to free the entire block of memory allocated by new. Failing to use can lead to undefined behavior or a memory leak. 11. ARR equals null PTR. It's good practice to set the pointer to null PTR after the memory has been freed to prevent it from being a dangling pointer. 12. Return 0. Indicates successful program execution. 13. End of the main function. Output. New not throw safe allocation checking. Int main, int into p equals new not throw int. If p equals null ptr, count less than allocation failed, less than endl, else. P equals 55, count less than p, less than endl, delete p, p equals null ptr, return 0. Line by line explanation. 1. Hashtag include less than iostream greater than, and using namespace std, standard setup. 2. Int main, the entry point of the program. 3. Int p equals new not throw int. This is a safer way to use the new operator. The not throw specifier tells new not to throw a std, bad underscore alloc exception if the memory allocation fails. Instead, it will return a null ptr. 4. If p equals null ptr, this condition checks if the memory allocation was successful. If new not throw failed to find available memory, it would have returned a null ptr, and this condition would evaluate to true. 5. Count less than allocation failed, less than endl. This message is printed if the memory allocation failed. 6. Else, this block is executed only if the memory allocation was successful, i.e. p is not null ptr. 7. P equals 55. The value 55 is stored at the newly allocated memory location. 8. Count less than wait, less than endl. The value stored in the heap memory is printed. 9. Delete p. The dynamically allocated memory is freed. 10. P equals null ptr. The pointer is set to null ptr to prevent it from becoming a dangling pointer. 11. End of the else block. 12. Return 0. Indicates successful program execution. 13. End of the main function. Output if allocation succeeds. 55. If allocation fails, you will see allocation failed. So friends, in this video we covered typecasting in C++, both implicit and explicit, along with some very important special operators like the scope resolution operator, smiley face, and memory management using new and delete. With all the examples and step-by-step explanations, I hope the concepts are now clear to you. In the next video, video 7, we will move into one of the most important topics in programming, control structures, in C++. We'll discuss what are control structures, sequential statements, and their types, selection statements, iteration statements. These are the building blocks that control the flow of execution in your C++ programs. So make sure to like this video, subscribe to Code Udip Pathshala, and press the bell icon so that you don't miss video 7. Keep practicing, keep learning, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, happy coding.